Last weekend, we had a solar eclipse in Virgo. This week, Tuesday, September 23rd through Thursday, September 25th, we're still processing all that happened. And really, not just then, but over the course of the last 2 weeks during the eclipse window between eclipses. I want to talk about that today because it's important for this week's astrology. And this week, Mars enters Scorpio. Mars loves being in Scorpio. It's his home sign, and he can be the best version of himself here, or one of them anyway. Mars in Scorpio means that Mars is Marsing right now, and this can help us get a lot done and not just the fun stuff. We'll talk more about this, but it's also important to note that this week, Mars in Scorpio is squaring Pluto in Aquarius. Like all astrological transits, Mars square Pluto has multiple potentials. We'll talk all about this and more in today's astrology report. I'm excited to talk about it with you today. First, we need to discuss this. We're still on the heels of the solar eclipse. So our eclipse was on Sunday, and that energy is really with us for the next 2 weeks until we have our next lunation strongly, and really for 6 months in some capacity. But we are still in that sort of eclipse season. It's a time that is busy. There can be a lot of change. Beginnings and endings are really key words for eclipse seasons. Things can be eclipsed in and out of our experience. And often we see a lot of movement in the collective and personally during eclipse season. And then right now, we also have the sun igniting this kite pattern. Let me go ahead and put that on the chart because it's really still going on all this week. I spoke about this in a separate report. So I'm going to link that at the end. I did a report that included this, but I'm sorry, I'm struggling a little bit this morning to find my words. I will attach at the end of this video a video that really goes through more thoroughly the story of before, during, and after this eclipse, which ends with this kite pattern, with the sun igniting this kite pattern. So let's sort of look at that. So first, it's that when planets move into Libra, they form a grand trine in air with Uranus and Pluto. And they also are opposing Neptune. So the sun right now is opposing Neptune and also forming this grand trine. And then we also have this outer planet triangle between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus that we've been working with all summer. So this makes up our kite pattern that we've been talking quite a lot about. And right on the heels of this new moon eclipse, we had our, it was a solar eclipse, which occurs at the new moon. Excuse my wording there, confusing to say a new moon eclipse. It was a solar eclipse, which is what occurs at the new moon. Right after that, the sun moved into Libra, which is the equinox, and the sun ignited this kite pattern. So it's almost like the story that we'd been working on over the course of the eclipses came to some sort of head. We had clarity about it in some way, understanding, manifestation where you could see it actually physically in front of you. You know, it can sort of illuminate, not sort of illuminate, the sun illuminates. The sun shines light, gives clarity. And so I just want to say that that story is still working with us this week. This whole thing with sun igniting the kite pattern and the solar eclipse that we're coming out of in Virgo. Um, I will attach at the end of this video a video that I did about that eclipse and that whole story. If you haven't seen it, you might want to check that out. We are going to focus on slightly different things for this video, but let me just make sure that I have everything here that I wanted to say about that. Well, I just wanted to make clear that the 2 weeks between the eclipses, between the full moon eclipse and the solar eclipse, those are the most active. That's the most active section of the eclipse season, but it does extend 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, and most potently 1 week before, 1 week after. So we are still in that time of change, of beginnings and endings, of getting a lot of movement in our own lives and in the world around us. Um, Oh, yes. I did want to talk about sleeping a little bit. I think now that we're beginning to climb out of the eclipse season, our sleeping can begin to regulate a little bit. Um, Sleep stuff is so real during eclipses. I think eclipses are so real in general. I really think that they prove astrology. The same way that full moons, a lot of people would agree, we can really see their impact on the world. People who work in hospitals or schools or police stations might say, yeah, there is an uptick in activity around a full moon. If we measured eclipses, it's so real. It's just sort of all of that times 10. Um, and I think that that is also true for what happens with sleep. So sometimes when it's a full moon, it can be a little hard to sleep well. And sometimes in a new moon, you can feel extra sleepy. So both parts of that cycle sort of can make you feel a little bit sleepy, but for different reasons. So yeah, 2 weeks ago, it might have been hard to sleep well. And then around as we got closer to this solar eclipse, it could just be sort of wanting and needing to sleep or rest a lot, not having a lot of energy. And so that might be something as we're starting to pull out of this eclipse season that is nice to have back, just feeling a little bit more normalized in terms of the eclipse uh, stuff, sleep stuff. So now what I want to talk about for this week, it's so interesting. On the heels of this whole configuration with the kite, the fact that it's the equinox, the fact that we're just after a lunar eclipse, or a solar eclipse, a new moon in Virgo, which was our second new moon in Virgo this year, which is remarkable that the timing of all of it, it was really a complex eclipse. Um, the most complex one that I can remember in terms of just how much was going on with the astrology, the way in which it was the second new moon in Virgo, and it was right before the equinox, and just everything that's going on with these outer planets changing signs and things at the early and the late degrees. It's really it's been quite the charts for a few days. September is busy. Um, Things sort of slow down and move in a different way in October and November. And there's some pretty sweet astrology there too. I mean, as there is here, everything has multiple potentials. But just to say, September's been really busy. So if a lot has been going on with you, know that that's right on time. Also know that I'm going to I'll look at the questions in the chat at the end. And I love that I've really been enjoying building a Q&A in at the end of these reports. And so we'll do that after I talk about the astrology. So put any questions you have in the chat there, and I can't wait to see them. Okay, so the other thing that's going on this week is that Mars has moved into Scorpio, as I mentioned at the beginning. And before we talk about Mars squaring Pluto here, let's just talk about Mars and Scorpio, because Mars will be here for 6 weeks about. And Mars is at home in Scorpio. It's its home sign. So they say Aries is sort of Mars's home during the day, and Scorpio is Mars's home at night. So that comes with some different things. Mars can do hard things in Scorpio. So this signifies that during this period, during these 6 weeks, this energy is a little more available to all of us, right? We can do hard things with Mars and Scorpio. There can be transformation through conflict. It's like Mars and Scorpio really knows how to do what has to be done. And Scorpio is here for growth and for transformation, even if it's a little difficult, even if it's a little painful, even if we have to stretch. So those kinds of feelings are more available to all of us, the astrology signifies, in the 6 weeks ahead, because we're working with this Mars and Scorpio energy during that time. You know, Mars and Scorpio is very powerful and very motivated, active, decisive, and this is just the Mars-Marsing thing. Mars can be sort of extra Marsy at this time. And, you know, it's especially nice because Mars was just in Libra, and Mars is debilitated in Libra. It's not really Mars's favorite place to be. I feel like when Mars is in Libra, Mars has to like go into the living room and sit down and hear what everybody else thinks Mars should do. And that's not really Mars's favorite thing. Scorpio asked Mars to dive in deep and fix some problems that are long-standing, you know, to do hard things, to wade through something difficult, even, you know, for the sake of transformation, even if it's hard, even if it's a little painful. Mars loves those kinds of missions. I'm going to get to grow. Sounds great. Is it going to be hard? Fine. That'll just make it that much more exciting when I get to the other side. And this kind of motivated energy is, you know, what we all have a little more available to us during these 6 weeks ahead. You know, I'm also thinking about like the sexual energy side of Scorpio and Mars and Scorpio. You can't not mention that when doing a report like this. And I'm just thinking about how that kind of energy is very constructive, you know, and destructive. Just like the power of that sort of passionate sexual energy to make things and move things. It's very strong, this signature. We can be very focused. It's like just this unstoppable determination. It works best, this kind of energy, when we're strategic. You know, Mars and Scorpio can be quick and maybe even too quick. But when coming from a more elevated, slow, steady perspective, that's when Mars and Scorpio is really the most powerful. From sort of a strategic, or I want to use the word calculated, but I feel like it has sort of negative connotation, so I don't love it. But I mean, it's a powerful force. We understand. I've said enough, I think, about Mars and Scorpio. I think you get the picture. So it's so interesting after everything that we just did with these eclipses that now this energy is coming online for us for the next 6 weeks or so. And, you know, it's nice as well that Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. We're working with that energy too. There's a lot of potential in these next few weeks. There's a lot of potential for growth and just moving things forward. Getting shit done is the way I wrote it in the title here. But that really is also talking about Pluto. Oh my goodness, CJ, thank you so, so much. I appreciate you very, very much, and good to see you. Good morning. Maybe it's not morning where you are, but I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever time it is and however you're doing. And yes, I will read all of these chats as soon as I'm done with the astrology here, and I look forward to that. And thank you so much, CJ. So good to see you. Okay. So also we have to connect this with Mars and Mars squaring Pluto. So let's just get that on our chart. Mars here is retrograde, or Pluto, I'm sorry, is retrograde in Aquarius and squaring that Mars in Scorpio, or rather Mars is squaring Pluto. We say the fastest moving planet first, so Mars is squaring Pluto. I always think of square energy as sort of pushing tension to the surface. And I think of the actual like corner of a square and the way it kind of nudges something up. You know, it's like it's pushing up from underneath the ground. And especially with Pluto, that's a good image because Pluto is all about what's buried and bringing that up and out to be reckoned with. And then, you know, Mars and Scorpio is here for that. Mars and Scorpio is 100% here for that kind of thing. So there could be also some clashing energy with this, right? I mean, it's a lot of will, it's a lot of movement. So people wanting to transform, being so passionate about that, that can cause sort of some power dynamics to surface, and that's always true with Pluto, some clashes when we have a square between Mars and Pluto. And I think that it's all this desire to transform energy, allowing yourself to change, not needing anyone's permission to do it. If everybody's doing that at the same time, sometimes it can be a little bit much. So notice within yourself times, are you really allowing everyone around you to change as much as you are trying to change and as much as you want them to allow you to change, so that we're not contributing to that side of this energy. But I do think that it can be explosive energy like this. And so how can we channel explosive energy in a positive way? Because there are definitely ways that are good and ways that can be destructive. So when we're talking about Mars square Pluto, especially involving Scorpio, which we haven't seen before, Mars hasn't been through, I don't think, I guess I haven't double checked this, but I don't think Mars has been in Scorpio since Pluto has been in Aquarius. I haven't grappled with the signature. If it happened, I didn't tune into it. And if it did, it only happened once, but I don't think so. I think this is the first time, but it will happen every 2 years or so for the next couple decades while we're working with Pluto and Aquarius. So this is kind of a new energy, but it is one that we're working with now. And it's breaking free from places that have been too controlling. You know, if there's a place where the power signature is off, we can break out of that with energy like this. It can help us see what's been hidden. Anything with Pluto, that's the case. Something coming to the surface. I think that the best way to work with this energy, and this square is only present for a few days, and then we're going back just to the Mars in Scorpio. But this week, we have this Mars and Pluto, which is potentially a little bit volatile, but I think it's more, it's like, I feel like it's almost like the Mars and Scorpio energy just getting started with this, like revving up. So we can channel this in positive ways, being strategic, being thoughtful, using the energy not too quickly to construct a response rather than be reactive. That's a great start. There really is so much positive potential in energy like this, but it's a little bit like difficult to wield because it's so powerful and it's so motivated and it's so active. But it's that much stronger when we wield it skillfully. And I think that that's true through strategy, through calculation, through thoughtfulness. through stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. But yeah, don't sleep on passionate energy that is here to help you transform and step maybe out of your comfort zone. Do something that feels hard, but that you're totally capable of and want to do, that you know is best for you. All of that is really possible this week. And then Mars kind of moves on from this Pluto aspect. This is not a major thing. As much as we haven't seen it before in this cycle, it happens actually twice every 2 years, because it happens on the other side too. There's another Mars square in the cycle. But then after these few days, we're just working with that wonderful Mars and Scorpio energy that really is so powerful and decisive and able to do what needs to be done and make stuff happen, even if it's hard. Very strong, very focused. So this is good stuff. Definitely a good week for getting stuff done, even if it's difficult, even if it's not pretty, you know, getting the stuff done that we don't love doing, or that we need some will and some motivation to help us with. Some passion, some destructive, constructive energy. Yeah. And remember as well that these other signatures are in the sky as well. I think at the end of this video, I will attach the solar eclipse video that I mentioned that has the story that we're really still in, that speaks about the sun and Libra kite pattern. And also I will attach a video about Jupiter in Cancer, because that's really important too right now. We have these two planets exalted, Mars and Jupiter. So that's worth tuning into too. There's so much positive potential in these months ahead. Okay, and now I'm going ahead and taking a look in the chat. Good morning, Miss Tell. Good morning, Erin. Yeah, the eclipse portal, the eclipse window was a very active one, Erin. I agree, and Miss Tell agrees as well. Yes. I'm glad you appreciate the title. See, I think even appreciating the title shows that we're in this energy a little bit. Like, we're like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get stuff done. I can't wait. I kind of feel that way too, but I'm also still sort of catching up on sleep from all this eclipse stuff. Oh, in South Africa, CJ, how wonderful. 2:42 p.m. So yes, hope you're having a good day would be good afternoon, good evening almost even would be better to say to you than good morning. I like to do these first thing in the morning. It's when I'm at my best, and even though I don't have the majority of the audience here at this time of day, everyone can watch it later, and it's here for everyone when they do wake up. But for me, first thing in the morning is almost always what works best. Yeah, someone else, Miss Tell, saying you think it's the first time as well for Mars and Scorpio with Pluto and Aquarius. I think so too. Hi, Hector. Ooh, Miss Tell's Sword in the Stone vibe. Miss Tell Shambliss has a wonderful insight here, which is that it's kind of a sword in the stone vibe. It kind of is. It kind of is. It's like a very powerful one. That's for sure. It's a powerful signature, and it's not playing around. It's not messing around, Mars and Scorpio. Oh my gosh. Well, it was wonderful to see you all this morning. I'm sort of glad to be on the other side of these eclipses. I feel like I got a lot done during the eclipses. So I guess I'm ready to get more done. I am. I'm ready to get more done. And it was great to see you here today. I will be back again on Friday, back to my normal schedule for the foreseeable future. And we'll talk about the weekend ahead then. I hope you have a wonderful week.